Most people never realize that there is a tree capable of producing something that can replace bread, imitate meat, and even create a rich, buttery food from a single harvest. And yet, despite growing in tropical regions around the world for centuries, it remains almost invisible to much of the modern world. The strange part is not that this tree exists. The strange part is why so few people know about it. For generations, people have searched for the perfect food crop. Something productive. Something nutritious. Something that survives difficult conditions. Something that keeps producing year after year. Instead, most of our food system depends on a surprisingly small number of crops. Wheat, corn, rice, soybeans. Huge amounts of land are dedicated to growing them. Huge amounts of water. Huge amounts of energy. And despite all of that effort, many communities still struggle with food security. What makes this even more surprising is that one of the most productive food trees on Earth has been quietly growing in plain sight. Not in secret laboratories. Not in experimental farms. But in backyards, villages, and forests. A tree is so useful that some cultures have depended on it for centuries. Yet outside those regions, few people have ever tasted it. Its name is breadfruit. At first glance, breadfruit does not look extraordinary. The tree is large and beautiful. Its leaves are enormous. Its fruits hang like green lanterns from the branches. But appearances hide something remarkable. A single mature tree can produce hundreds of fruits every year. And each fruit can weigh several kilograms. That means one tree can generate an astonishing amount of food from a relatively small area. The name itself creates curiosity. Breadfruit. Why bread? The answer becomes obvious when the fruit is cooked. Inside is a pale, starchy flesh. When roasted, baked, or steamed, the texture becomes surprisingly similar to fresh bread. Soft, warm, comforting. For many people tasting it for the first time, the resemblance is almost shocking. But bread is only the beginning. In some recipes, breadfruit develops a dense texture that resembles roasted potatoes. In others, it becomes rich and satisfying enough to replace meat in certain dishes. Pulled apart and seasoned, it can absorb flavors remarkably well. This is one reason it has become increasingly popular among chefs searching for plant-based alternatives. The same fruit can transform into completely different foods depending on how it is prepared. And that flexibility is one of its greatest strengths. But there is another side to the story that many people never hear. When breadfruit is harvested young, it behaves differently than when it is harvested fully mature. Young fruits are firmer. Mature fruits become softer and sweeter. This means communities can use the same tree to provide different types of food throughout the season. One harvest. Many possibilities. And the surprises continue. Inside the seeds of certain varieties lies another valuable food source. When roasted, these seeds develop a flavor that many compare to nuts. They add protein. They add texture. And they turn what might have been waste into another useful resource. Very little is lost. This efficiency is one reason researchers have become increasingly interested in the tree. Breadfruit does not simply produce food. It produces options. And options are incredibly valuable when resources become limited. The tree itself contributes to this advantage. Unlike annual crops that must be planted again and again, breadfruit is perennial. Once established, it continues producing for decades. In some cases, for generations. Imagine planting a tree that could still be feeding families long after the original planter is gone. That changes the entire relationship between people and food. Instead of starting from zero every season, the tree becomes a permanent source of harvest. A living investment. A food-producing machine powered entirely by sunlight. This is where the story becomes even more fascinating. Many people assume productive crops require constant attention, constant fertilizer, constant irrigation, constant intervention. Breadfruit challenges that assumption. In suitable climates, the tree often grows vigorously with surprisingly little maintenance. Its large canopy creates shade. Its roots stabilize soil. Its leaves eventually return nutrients to the ground. The tree is not just producing food. It is participating in its own support system. Nature solving problems that humans often try to solve with machinery. And yet, despite all these advantages, breadfruit never became one of the dominant global crops. Why? The answer is more complex than most people expect. Part of the reason is geography. Breadfruit thrives in warm tropical environments. It dislikes frost. That immediately limits where it can grow. Another reason is history. Global agricultural systems evolved around crops that could be transported and stored easily across long distances. Breadfruit is highly productive. But historically, moving fresh fruit over great distances was difficult. As a result, many regions simply never integrated it into their food systems. People cannot value what they never encounter. And there is another factor: familiarity. Humans tend to trust foods they already know. We inherit recipes, traditions, habits. Even when a remarkable alternative appears, it often struggles to compete with generations of established behavior. Sometimes the greatest barrier is not biology. It is culture. Yet today, the situation is beginning to change. Scientists are studying breadfruit more closely. Farmers are experimenting with new cultivation methods. Food innovators are creating flour, snacks, and prepared foods from the fruit. As technology improves preservation and transportation, barriers that once seemed permanent are becoming less important. The world is rediscovering something that was never truly lost, only ignored. And perhaps the most surprising discovery of all is how complete the tree's contribution can be. The fruit provides carbohydrates. The seeds offer additional nutrition. The canopy provides shade. The roots help protect soil. The tree stores carbon as it grows. One species, many functions. This is a pattern that appears repeatedly in nature. The most valuable systems rarely do just one thing. They perform many roles at the same time. Breadfruit follows that principle perfectly. Which brings us back to the mystery from the beginning. The tree that produces something like bread. Something that can replace meat in certain meals. Something rich enough to feel almost buttery when prepared correctly. A tree capable of feeding people year after year. The reason nobody talks about it is not because it lacks value. It is because much of the world built its food habits around other crops long before discovering what this tree could offer. Sometimes the greatest treasures are not hidden. They are simply ignored. And breadfruit may be one of the most extraordinary examples of that idea. A living reminder that nature still contains solutions waiting quietly in plain sight. The next time you see a tropical tree covered with strange green fruits, you may be looking at one of the most productive food plants on Earth. And the most remarkable part is that this miracle has been growing there all along.